Good morning. How are you guys? It's been a while, so I thought I'd do a quick update. It is August 4th already. Where is summer going? Goodness sakes, I didn't it just turn June? Anybody else running into that struggle? So here we are. We are doing really good. We have moments where we are not, but we have more moments that we are doing really well, and we are grateful for that. Mark continues to show up in his own way, whether it be through our memories, through our conversations, through moments of memories. It's so I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for that. As you can see, I've got this necklace here from my daughter Rose. She had printed off a picture and had her big sister Emily help her get some of the rose petals from Mark's wake, and then set it in resin in a pendant and a charm, so that I would have that to have with me all the time. And one of my dear friends, Tracy, God bless her, she goes, "Ooh, like your saint relic or saint medal." I was like, "Ooh, yes, yes, saint medal, right?" Oh my gosh. So, a quick update. If you guys need prayer, first of all, I am praying for you. So please continue to ask for prayer. I will continue to include you in our prayers. But Mark has appeared to a couple people, and he is radiant and he is smiling, and he says, "Ask me to pray for you." And then he's gone, just like that. So I'm going to say, ask Mark to pray for you. He was a worker. He is a worker. He wants you to ask him to pray for you. To pray. Yes, like I said. Anyway, so I was having a conversation with a couple of friends the other day, and the question came up, did you and Mark ever fight? I'm like, oh my goodness, yes. We had a great marriage and we are spiritual, but we were very much human in our marriage. So, yes, we definitely fought. What did we fight about? Oh gosh, all the same things that you guys fight about, whether it be finances, disciplining the kids, intimacy in the marriage, budgeting our time, talent, and treasure. What else? Arguing over like how we would manage our day and the different things we would need to do, managing our commitments to other things. So we had definitely different perspectives. We were two totally different people. And so, of course, we would have different reasons for different things that we would do. And yes, we would definitely fight about them. And just like many of you, we would come into an argument with our own arsenal of reasons and excuses and defenses of why we were right and they were wrong. So we were definitely human. We definitely needed the sacrament of confession many times to help sustain our marriage. We also needed the help of many of our dear friends from our Teams of Our Lady prayer group and other friends to pray for us and help us to really come about that situation and move on. So thankfully, our fights were pretty minor. I would say with our blended family, we have the 5 kids. We have his son, my 2 older girls from my first marriage, and our 2 together here on earth. And so with that comes, different upbringings. Mark came from a family that he was brought up a certain way. I came from a family, I was brought up a certain way with different values, mentalities, disciplines, things like that. So we bring that into the marriage. And then if you have a family that you're trying to blend, you also have the other parent and their parenting. And so then you have, you could potentially have quite a few different people in the equation with much different parenting styles. And unfortunately, when you have kids going back and forth in a custody situation, there can be a lot of conflict because what one parent would maybe deem as inappropriate, another one would be, what's the big deal? So I'm sure you've probably seen it. I mean, you can have that with your own parents, you can have that with your own friends. It's, but that can create a lot of conflict in a marriage. So Mark and I learned we had to talk about it and we had to figure it out and we had to come to a compromise. This isn't working for me. This isn't working for me. And lots of times we did respect each other and love each other and we'd meet each other halfway and come up with a compromise. So that is definitely one of them. Also, having God in your marriage, oh my gosh, that makes all the difference in the world. I was married once before and we had a lot of communication issues. We did not have God in our marriage. So that really, there was a lot of conflict there, a lot of miscommunication, a lack of communication, and that really is what drove us apart. So truly you need to have good communication, and you really need God in your marriage, because he knows us better than we know ourselves. He knows our spouses better than we know them. And although we would say we know them better, but anyway, moving on. Uh, he God just knows how to bring peace. God is in the peace and the clarity. He's also in forgiveness. He's also in the sacraments. So you need him to help keep that calm in your marriage, that peace in your marriage. So some of the other things we fought about would be finances. Money is the root of all evil. It truly is. We blended our finances when we got married, and unfortunately, we each came into that relationship with different spending habits. What I considered a priority was definitely not what he considered a priority. And so that was something we had to communicate through and work through too. And then what were our goals with our money too? What was the bigger scope and sequence? We can't plan everything in life. We really need to live in the moment. But if you have a goal, whether it be purchasing cars or purchasing a house or, different big expenses like that, you really need to be on the same page with your spending habits and recognize what's going to work and what's not going to work, because you don't want to make a commitment that you can't keep. You have a responsibility when you sign a line saying, I'm going to get this loan and I'm going to repay it. You need to mean what you say and say what you mean. You need to repay it. You made a promise. So anyway, so thankfully we were really good with that. There were times though, one of my ones that just comes to mind is I love Bath and Body Works. I love their scents. I love all their cute little seasonal displays and wallflowers, and oh my gosh, I just love it. So I would get a coupon in the mail for my free body care item, and I'd be so excited. I'm like, you know what? We have a budget. I just want to get that one item. So Mark would, take me there. We'd be out running errands. I'm like, I'm just going to stop in and get that one body care item. Okay, cool. So in his mind, I set the expectation of this is going to take maybe 5 minutes. I'm going to find what I want and get out of there, and I'm not going to spend anything because I have my free coupon. So I waltz in there, and of course, all the pretty lights, all the pretty displays. Oh, we have all these new scents. Would you like to try them? Yes, I do. So then half an hour later, and $50 spent on beautiful hand soaps and a cute little hand soap stand and maybe a body spray or a body wash. And because of course they have, well, hey, we have 5 for 5 or buy 3 for 3, get 3 free. So such a sucker. I'm such a sucker. I absolutely love Bath and Body Works. So unfortunately that would create some conflict for us too, because I had set an expectation and then I changed it and I didn't keep my word. Now, Mark didn't have any problem with me getting stuff from Bath and Body Works. That's not the issue. The issue was I said I was doing this and I did that instead. We had made a goal. We were trying to keep within that goal, and I didn't do it. I fell to temptation and the pretty lights and the pretty smelly soaps and hand lotions. Grr. Just love Bath and Body Works. What other fights? Intimacy. Yeah, TMI, but it really, there were times where I was easily one of the ones to pull out the card of, I've got a headache, or I'm tired, I'm on my period. And I would be honest with it, or I'm just not in the mood. I'm sorry. So there were many times that would create a source of conflict, because his feelings would be hurt. Why don't you show affection to me like I show to you? Things like that. And I just didn't want to give the wrong signal. I didn't want him to think, let's go. Now, when I was fertile, I was definitely like, let's go. But that wasn't every day of the month. He was more enthusiastic to do that all the time, and especially as Mark was getting more increasingly ill, there were going to be struggles with that. You had to really prepare for it, which then takes that spontaneity out of it, which really kind of takes the spark out of it, because it's like you really got to plan for it. Totally TMI, and I'm sorry, but I'm just being real. Our last time was his birthday this past year, and I remember he was struggling breathing, and I'm like, honey, this isn't gonna work. Like, I love you so much, but I don't want to kill you. Like, you need to breathe. And he's like, yeah, but what a way to go. Can you picture that? That's Mark Pulse. That is Mark Pulse. He's just, oh my gosh. So anyway, Lovemaking is a beautiful gift. That intimacy is such a gift, and I certainly didn't try to take it for granted. I just, again, I am I'm a woman, and this is just how I am. So that was one of our arguments. What would be another one? Like our time and talent and treasure, how we committed ourselves. I got into a season where I was all about, yes, I want to help. Yes, I want to help. Yes, I want to do this. Yes, I want to do that. When actually, you really need to talk to your spouse about that, because they may have other commitments or they may have already planned something. So you really have to be open with communication on your schedules and your commitments. Just scheduling something without their permission. It isn't that Mark really wanted to give me permission. It was more like that might be something he didn't want to go to. And so he would rather I didn't commit both of us to that. Like, or it could be, where we'd compromise, like, I will do this night, but you can go do this another night. So again, marriage is all about compromise. Oh, another thing about our finances, we came to an understanding because there'd be times where we would buy something and it was over a threshold that either one of us was comfortable with. We're like, I really wish you would have just said something and asked me. I would have said, hey, I was thinking about that too. I was hoping we could purchase this instead. So again, the evil one is going to try and throw conflict into your marriage everywhere. And you just don't want these little things to destroy your marriage and destroy your communication or your relationship. So anyway, so we decided on $50 would be our threshold, that you can't go over or under. And or I'm sorry, you can go under, but you can't go over. And if it was going to be more than that, then we just made the agreement that we were going to talk about it. Now, were we perfect with that? No. There were times where I was like, no, I needed to make a decision now, honey. And I did, and I couldn't get a hold of you, things like that. But there's so many times you can return things back to the store too. You can, make those compromises, but set those expectations, get that conversation out. I think setting that limit was so helpful for us because then we both weren't surprised if we looked at our account and we're like, what's this for? What's that for? So you just don't want anything to tear your marriage apart, especially over stuff. Like, just not worth it. It's interesting because God talks about forgiveness constantly in the Bible. And when you look at Matthew chapter 5, verses 34 through 37, it says, let what you say be simply yes or no. Anything more than this comes from the evil one. So what they're saying is, mean what you say and say what you mean. If you're going to do one thing, then do that. If you're going to do another thing, then say that. But don't say one thing and then do the opposite. Especially in your marriage, you have to be really good about that. And that did create a source of conflict for us, kind of like the Bath and Body Works thing. Like, I set the expectation and then I meant what I said, but then I changed my mind. Like, mean what you say what you mean, keep your commitments, keep your responsibilities, keep your word. Another one is, how many times we used to respond to our arguments. I don't know. Maybe you guys have this too when you guys fight. But I would say things like, are you done now? Because I'm done. I'm done. Yeah, that wasn't good. And then there's always, oh, sure, it's always my fault. We aren't always wrong. And then you start bringing out a list of their past mistakes. Oh, shots fired. Like, you got to leave that in the past. You got to forgive and forget and move on. Or give me an example. What do you mean? Give me an example. And it's like, I don't have a list of all the things you've done to fail me, honey. Do you really want me to bring it out? Do you really want to hear it? And the silent treatment. Anybody else use that one? Mother always said, if I don't have anything nice to say at all, if I don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. Of course, I would say it as I slammed a cabinet door or closed a drawer or stomped out of a room because I was mad. So most of the times it was just me being a brat, not getting my way. Mark would have those same moments, I did have one time where you're just like your mother, or you're just like your father, or you're just like this, or you're just like that. And it's like, oh gosh, please stop. That's not going to help you with an argument ever. It's just going to fuel it and make you more mad. And then you come into the argument and you have all these defenses. You have all these things that they've done before, and you're just going to whip them out and tell them that they were wrong. Well, that doesn't help either. It just makes the fight worse. Then there's the time like, why did I even marry you? You and I just don't even think the same. Why did we even choose each other? Put that one back away too. Ouch. Gosh, we get so caught up in situations, don't we? We just got to stop and take a breather. It says in the Bible too, John chapter 13, verses 34 through 35, a new commandment I give to you, that you love one another, even as I have loved you, that you also love each other. Well, yes, when we're fighting like that, we're not loving each other, are we? Now, granted, yeah, you're going to have conflicts. You're two totally different people coming from two totally different environments and situations and histories. Like, you're going to come in with conflict. We're very human. We're spiritual and we're human. But there's this time, too, where you sit there and it's like, how many times do I have to forgive him for this? And, well, turns out God took care of that, too, in the Bible. You head into Matthew chapter 18, verse 21. Then Peter came up to him, Lord, how often shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? As many as 7 times is the question. And Jesus said to him, I do not say to you 7 times, but 7 times 7. 7 times 7 times. Okay, honey, let's just get the calculator out here. Let's take a look at this. All right, 7 times 7. So Jesus didn't say I have to forgive you 7 times, but 7 times 7. So we're going to make sure we keep track of that. So 7 times 77 was 539? I have to forgive you 539 times? Well, let me just get out my book and I am going to write this down. I forgave you for this. I forgave you for that. I forgave you for this. I forgave you for that. Well, that's 135 things. Let's just take that off the list. All right. Well, honey, you are just gonna you still have 404 left. I hope you better be good because I'm not going to forgive you for all those after that. What is God trying to say? He's trying to say, don't keep track. Forgive as I forgive you. Every time I've been in the confessional how many times and asked the Lord to forgive me, and he's saying we need to forgive others as many times as he forgives us, and he always forgives us. So what does that mean for us? We have to always forgive them too. But on the other side, they always have to forgive us too. So anyway, I just thought I would share that. Yes, Mark and I used to fight. We had a really good marriage. Our fights were about things that were pretty simple, pretty normal for a marriage. So I'm grateful for that. Mark was a loyal man. He was an honest man. He was a good man to love. And I'm grateful that I get to say that I was married to him. So anyway, I do have one last story about forgiveness. We had a fight I was going out with some friends. They had gotten a trolley and it was for a birthday. And I was going out and Teresa was I want to say 2. Rose was only a couple months old. So I was staying home at that time, full time. And I just wanted to get out. So I was like, I am going out with my friends, and so you need to take care of the kids. No problem. He's the father. He always took care of the kids. That wasn't an issue. So I get out and I had set the expectation, I'll probably be home between 8 and 9. Well, I get to 8 and 9 and I'm having a few drinks. We have a driver. I'm having a really good time and I am not ready to come home. And I call and he's like, are you coming home? And I'm like, no, I want to stay out. I'm having a really good time. And he was upset because he wanted to get to bed and the kids were still up and he went to work every day and needed to get up early and it was my role to stay home and we had both chosen that. No problem. But for me in the moment, I was just feeling good and having a really good time and I did not want to come home. I'm like, listen, I am home all day, every day, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day with these kids. I love them dearly, but I am having a really good time and I'm staying out. Well, he got upset because I had set the expectation and changed it right when I was supposed to be coming home. So he got upset. Well, the more he got upset, the more I got upset. So then what did I do? All right, how about another round of shots? How about another round of drinks? Like, I'm done. Like, I'm staying out and I'm having a good time. So I get home eventually, yes. And I get in there and Mark's waiting up for me, ready to talk about this. So I come in and I'm thinking, ooh, I got all these reasons. I've got all these excuses for doing this tonight. I am just, ooh, I am ready for this argument. I am like, I sit down and I'm like, all right, want to talk about this? And I look at him, and all of the sudden, Mark turns into not one person, but three. Evidently, all those shots were catching up with me right at the moment that we were supposed to have this discussion. Like, oh my gosh. So Mark tries to talk to me, and I said, honey, I'm going to have to stop you right there. Because there are three of you right now, and if I'm going to argue with one of you, I want to make sure I've got the right one. Not my finest moment. But we did discuss it, and here the problem was I just needed to take more time to myself. I needed to schedule time. I needed to allow myself to get out every once in a while. I just needed a night away. Nothing wrong. We talked about it. We moved on, you know. Thankfully, the next morning I woke up and there was just one Mark again. So, and I needed to get to confession because clearly I had overdone it. So, thankfully I was able to receive that right away the next morning at Mass, and yeah, before Mass, I should say. But anyway, anybody else ever had that happen? So anyway, no, yes, we did fight. Yes, we did forgive each other. And yes, we did move on. And it did bless our marriage to have the sacraments, to have God in the marriage. And we just had to keep trying. That's all you can do in a marriage and in any relationship. You have to keep trying. You have to keep trying to meet each other back in the middle where God is. So anyway, I'm praying for you. Please continue to pray for us. Thank you for so many prayers, so many beautiful messages. And thank you for just being you. You guys are amazing, and we'll see you next time. God bless. Bye.